Привет, and welcome to Red Square. For many foreigners, this is the #1 Russian tourist destination site. The Kremlin, Lenin's tomb, St. Basil's, all of these are icons of Russia.
There is many Kremlins and cathedrals in Russia, but here in Red Square you can have a beautiful crash course of Russian architecture.
First-time visitors to Red Square may rightly feel awed by its sheer size, but Red Square was not always so grand. It began as a slum adjacent to the Kremlin, and its history of transformation from slum shanty to the pomp and ceremony center of the Soviet Union to a present-day venue for tourist booths and rock venues is nearly a millennium long. But what's more is that Red Square was not always red. Its name is neither a reference to the red bricks nor the Soviet Union's suspicious color. In Russian, Red Square is Krasnaya Ploshad, or Beautiful Square. The Kremlin is the birthplace of Moscow. In fact, the world's largest country grew out of this walled fortress. Humans have lived on the site since before the birth of Christ, but its official construction did not begin until the 12th century. It has been the center of the Russian government, officially, literally, and ceremonially since that time, excluding the 200-year period, beginning in the early 1700s, during which St. Petersburg was the capital. In 1918, the capital was moved back to Moscow, and since 1992, it has been the residence of the President of Russia and his administration. Within its walls are housed numerous jewels of Russian architecture, as well as priceless relics. Perhaps the most famous cathedral in Russia is St. Basil's Cathedral. This strikingly colored church has been a part of Red Square in Russian culture for nearly 500 years. The cathedral was constructed in a 6-year period from 1555 to 1561 at the behest of Ivan IV, better known as Ivan the Terrible, to commemorate the capture of the city of Kazan from the Tartars. Legend has it that upon its completion, the Tsar blinded the architects so that they would never be able to design another building to rival the cathedral's beauty. One of the most visible buildings in Moscow is certainly the Cathedral of Christ the Savior. The golden domes of the world's tallest Eastern Orthodox cathedral can be seen from all over central Moscow. The original cathedral was built in celebration of the retreat of Napoleon's forces from Moscow. Construction was slow, and nearly 50 years passed before the cathedral was completed in 1883. In 1931, Stalin's administration had the cathedral demolished. However, in 1990, permission was granted to the Orthodox Church to once again build the cathedral. Construction of the new and nearly identical cathedral was completed in 2000. The Bolshoi is the most famous theater in Russia, a country that cherishes its history of ballet and theater. Bolshoi means big in Russian, and the Bolshoi is a grand building. The current-day theater was constructed in 1856 after a series of fires destroyed 2 previous theaters. Russian icons such as Tchaikovsky and Rachmaninoff have debuted works in the theater. Unfortunately, the Bolshoi has been closed for restoration since 2005. Many tourists are surprised to learn that there are multiple Kremlins in Russia. Kremlin is a Russian word for castle or fortress. The Novgorod Kremlin is a sizable and well-preserved Kremlin in the town of Veliki Novgorod. The fortress is a World Heritage Site and has an impressive millennium history, taking its roots as a pagan burial ground. Most of the present-day fortress was constructed in the 15th century, but the Kremlin's most visible element is the silver-capped Kukui Tower, which was built in the 19th century. Kazan Cathedral is another of Russia's iconic religious structures. This massive 19th century church was designed in inspiration of St. Peter's Basilica and was intended as a monument to Our Lady of Kazan, or the Virgin Mary. The church was constructed in a surprisingly short 10-year span, starting in 1801. After Napoleon's retreat in 1812, the church was more or less transformed into a national monument of Russia's victory. Under the Soviet Union, the cathedral was once more transformed, this time into the Museum of the History of Religion and Atheism. Finally, in 1992, the cathedral was returned to the Orthodox Church. The remote, unique Kizhi Pagost of Kizhi Island is one of Russia's World Heritage Sites. Kizhi Island is situated in Lake Onega, and for tourists it is only accessible by ferry. The pagost there contains 2 churches and a bell tower. All of the structures are wooden, and the 37-meter tall Transfiguration Church, built around 1714, is among the tallest log structures in the world. Of course, this short video has hardly scratched the surface of Russian architecture. This grand and diverse country exhibits some of the most beautiful architecture in the world, and it would take more than one short film to display it. It is our hope, though, that the Russian people will continue to cherish their architecture and its history, so that future generations will be able to enjoy it as well.